The American dream has lately been to own a house that's very large with many rooms in order to have a big family, a large lawn where you can spend time with your kids, and a large backyard where you can usually have the family pets. However, because of today's housing market, choice to rent has become the solution to save people money. My first claim is that renting the first claim that I'm going to discuss is that renting is throwing away money. And in my speech, I will discuss whether or not this is true, and if it is, how it will hurt people or help. The second claim is that the price for renting covers more than just the price to live in a location. Going on to my first claim. Renting is throwing away money. This is not true because when you compare the price to rent as compared to the price of a mortgage payment, you find that if they are the same, that you actually are getting more for your money when you pay for rent. According to an article in the Times newspaper, the Goldfarb and Lipstein families both traded owning condos and small houses for renting, and they ended up with larger living quarters and also ended up having to pay about the same. Another issue is that you wait for the housing market to get better, and then you could buy later for a more reasonable price. Even with lower interest rates, and also that we hear of today's economy and also in the news, we also know that many people are unemployed, and unemployment is still increasing, although it is slowing down. And because of this, we find that even though low interest rates on housing, it doesn't really help out because many people still can't make the payments since many people are unemployed. Another thing is that the housing market is steadily fixing itself, but until the prices finally steady down, if you buy a house right now and the prices fall, you end up losing money in the long run. Future trading and the pricing indexes say that traders expect house prices to fall another 22% in total in the year of 2009. This is according to Stephanie Fitch and Matthew Hoosley in an article of Forbes. Also, in explaining that the price of rent has also gone down because of the slowing economy. In Atlanta, the value of income-producing properties, such as in Atlanta, is around 4.6%, and that has fallen in the past 2 years, fallen 22%. Chicago, the rate is 5.8, which has fallen 19%. In Houston, the rate is 3.8%, which has fallen 5%. In Los Angeles, the rate is 3.5, which has fallen 32%. Miami, 22.9%, which has fallen 37%. New York, 3.3%, which has fallen 11%. In Philadelphia, 4.7%, which has fallen 4%. Phoenix, 4.8%, which has fallen 42%. And this is all according to studies done by the Times and CNN. My second claim is that the price for renting covers more than just the price for living in one location. Even though the price of renting may seem to be around the same price range as paying mortgage on a house, we find that the price of renting does not, the price for renting means that you don't have to pay property taxes, so no extra property taxes on top of that, no extra insurance on top of the price to rent, no cost for extra repairs or renovations. Most owners are required to provide a nice living environment, so you won't have to pay to cut the lawn and keep up the garden and all that. If something happens inside the house, like say the pipes burst, you can have somebody come out and fix the problem at no cost to you. And of course, there are limits to changing the house. Like say if you want to change the paint or changing the apartment or a condo that you're renting, if you want to paint it or hang up nice decorations, eventually if you do decide to buy a house when the housing market does fix itself, you might have to repaint the apartment to its original color, or maybe fix up holes that are in the wall from nails where you had pictures hanging. So in a way, you don't really want to change to your apartment because that will be an extra cost, so that can be money you can save in the long run. And then in total, all this money that you save, you can put into savings and later be placed towards the house you want when the market becomes steady. I also found a study by Moody's Economy and the Moody'sEconomy.com and the National Association for Realtors done in June of this year, where the price to rent ratio is in main cities such as Seattle, Raleigh, Bridgeport, Milwaukee, Chicago, Dallas, and Los Angeles, and Pittsburgh all had lower rates for renting in comparison to the price for mortgage payments. For renting, for let's say Seattle was 29.5% less than that of paying for a house that would cost an average value of $356, or say in Los Angeles the average rent was 15.7% less than the average mortgage payment on a house that would cost $317,000. In conclusion, we find that because of today's struggling economy and struggling housing market, that renting as of now is actually will save people money more than it will cost, instead of it being seen as throwing away money or as the price for renting that actually covers more than just the mortgage itself. Thank you.
Right, Arturo, I wasn't sure that the proposition was as clear as it needed to be, and when you previewed the contents of the speech, you've got some statements there that aren't really phrased as claims. When you get to the supporting structure, you kind of restate those phrases and then turn them into claims, and I think that that's a little bit awkward. They should be claims from the very beginning. You did do a good job signposting the main points, though, as you got to each of them, and that was pretty clear. You had a nice example about the amount of room that the two families gained by switching to renting and basically spending the same amount of money. All of your argument, though, seems very dependent on out-of-pocket costs. That whole discussion later on about price-to-rent ratio, it basically sounds like it comes down to how much money you're taking out of your pocket and spending, and by the comparisons, I'm not sure that there's going to be a lot of controversy on that. The bigger comparison is whether or not you are getting a long-term return on your money, and the big argument that you have in the last part of the speech is that if you took the savings that you had and put it into, or took the money that you had and put it into savings, that would help you recoup some of your costs. And I think that's where you need to expand your comparison a little bit more, especially to the potential benefits of purchasing a home. I thought that you were pretty clear and easy to follow. I think you could be a little bit more forceful in the presentation, and you did a good job citing sources for the most part. You had a couple good examples, but there were a couple of things that I'm not sure that made much sense. At one point you had this long list of cities that you went through with the percentage on it, and I'm not sure what the comparison was that you were making, and so after a while, the fact that you gave us 8 of these comparisons doesn't really help make the argument. You need to explain what the comparison means, and I didn't think that you did that as clearly. All right, thank you.